Merry Crimbo! Let's take a look back at the year as we get ready for Crimbo festivities. Last Crimbo saw pirates fighting elves, with pirates the eventual victor. The story conclusion told us this means pirates will orchestrate this year's Crimbo, which seems confirmed by the advent calendar items so far. Take a look at my Crimbo 2023 video if you'd like to recap last year's world event. We were lucky to have two other world events this year, the Time Twitching Tower in July with a whole new top level, and the Traveling Trader with the skill book Too Cold to Hold in August. Take a look at my videos of each for all the fun details. If you skip ascending for Crimbo, this could be a good time to try out the familiar enhancing soups from the Time Twitching Tower. The Raffle house in Bordertown underwent major renovations. It now offers Mr. Store items from years past, nothing currently included in Standard, as the grand prize every day, along with 3 rotating items created specifically for the raffle: Doll Mall violin case, tattoo gun, and Cholera Pest Nebbiolo. The Doll Mall violin case hatches into the Doll Mall, a familiar that increases meat drops and attacks enemies. The tattoo gun gives a unique tattoo, while the Cholera Pest Nebbiolo is a size 1 epic quality booze. All 3 can safely be skipped by the typical player, but are sought after by collectors. Grand prizes so far have included such rare Mr. Store items as the Cheshire Bitten, one of the first items of the year in the game, Hand Turkey Outline, and Airplane Charter Conspiracy Island. This year also had several impactful nerfs. Combat items and skills that give free runaways in Standard were changed to work every time instead of only a chance at a free runaway, and now also have a cooldown effect. Everything looks green. This affects the Mr. Store Spring Shoes' Spring Away skill, as well as standard eligible combat items such as tattered scraps of paper. Unrestricted free runaways, such as Snoke Bomb or Louder Than Bomb, lack the cooldown effect and can still be chained together. Hobopolis consumables can only be used once per day, so you can no longer use multiple jars of fermented pickle juice to clean out your whole spleen. Waffles were changed so that whenever you have the Mr. Store Book of Facts' Monster Habitat skill or Extrovermectin's Be Gregarious skill active, using a waffle to get the copied monster will decrement one of the skills' monster copies, 5 and 3 respectively. The change does not affect older monster substitution methods, such as the Mr. Store Powerful Gloves' combat skill Replace Monster. The biggest nerf for meat farmers was changing Goblin embezzlers, the lucky monster encounter from the Cobb's Knob Treasury, to be uncopyable. Goblin embezzlers are the monster with the highest average base meat drop in the game at 1000 meat. The next best copyable monsters have an average base meat drop of only half, or 500 meat. One of these was the Cheerless Mime Executive from a prior Crimbo. As an added bonus, Cheerless Mime Executives drop the Crimbo currency Crystalline Cheer, which can be used by players who experience that Crimbo to purchase tradable skill books. Meat farmers briefly brought down the price of the skill books to under 1 million meat each before the average base meat drop of the Cheerless Mime Executive was nerfed. Again, during its Crimbo season, the base average meat drop was 1500 to 100 meat. The price of skill books has duly risen to anywhere from 2 million to 6 million meat each. Meat farmers today may choose to copy the Cockroach for its 500 meat average base meat drop, which requires first unlocking its native zone of Trash Island in Pirate Realm. Unfortunately, this approach is uneconomical for anyone who doesn't already own the Mr. Store Pirate Realm due to the high cost of day passes. 2 other changes significantly affected the Kingdom of Loathing economy for players with deep pockets. Where the system previously would throw away any meat on hand over 4 billion, now there is no practical limit to the meat a player can have available. Near the same time, mall price limits were raised to 999,999,999,999 meat, from 999,999,999 meat. Items at this price can be purchased but do not show up in mall search results. These 2 changes together have allowed old, expensive Mr. Store items to be bought and sold in the mall at their market price, rather than requiring private trades in items or dense meat stacks. A brief window of time between the announcement of mall price limit changes in the Kingdom of Loathing podcast and implementation in-game led to a run on old Mr. Store items at or near the previous maximum price, just under 1 billion meat, and an accompanying sharp drop in the meat price of Mr. Accessories. Try searching the mall for a Witchess set or Conspiracy Island Charter for window shopping at eye-watering prices. 2 positive changes affect all players. Gremlins in the Junkyard side zone for the Mysterious Island quest are now much more likely to brandish their tools when appropriate. While this helps everyone complete the side zone more quickly, the change was particularly important for the Were Professor Special Challenge path, since the Professor had a great deal of trouble surviving multiple rounds of combat. Lastly, Lastly, the Quantum Familiar Special Challenge Pass path reward, Quantum of Familiar, can now be used to get a new unique familiar, the Quantum Entangler. The Quantum Entangler blocks enemy attacks and drops Quantized Familiar experience every 11 combats. Quantized Familiar experience can be used exactly like Ghost Dog Chow to add familiar experience to your active familiar, up to a familiar experience limit of 400, which equals its full weight. Even new players can pick up the Quantum Entangler familiar since the path reward still drops. Use 1 Quantum of Familiar to get the familiar hatchling, Quantized Familiar. Use another 12 Quantum of Familiar to upgrade the Quantum Entangler's drop, Quantized Familiar experience. The base familiar experience from using Quantized Familiar experience is 11, but this can be upgraded to 23 experience each with additional Quantum of Familiar. 23 familiar experience is superior to the 20 experience from the much older item Ghost Dog Chow. Note that the experience granted is unique to each player. Someone who uses Quantized Familiar experience without any Quantum of Familiar will receive the base amount of 11, while a player who has maximized their Quantum of Familiar will receive the full 23. Any Quantum of Familiar used beyond the 13 adds a note to your profile. Quantized Familiar is particularly useful for the several recent familiars, such as Emberiza Aureola, that consume familiar experience to cast useful skills. This year saw the first time Asymmetric released an Item of the Month along with Clan VIP furniture, allowing players to purchase a Clan VIP lounge invitation for the first time since July 2021. Clan VIP furniture in years past has been released in lieu of an Item of the Month. Watch my videos for all the details about each Mr. Store item from this past year. The best Mr. Store items of the month from the past year for quality of life are the in-the-box spring shoes and boxed bat wings. The best for farming are baby chest mimic, packaged Everfull dart holster, boxed Apriling band helmet, and packaged Roman candelabra. The best for PvP are boxed Apriling band helmet and boxed mime calendar, and the best for speedruns are wrapped candy cane sword cane and boxed sept ember sensor. The best items of the month from the last year overall are the wrapped candy cane sword cane, baby chest mimic, boxed Apriling band helmet, packaged Roman candelabra, and boxed back wings. There were 3 new special challenge passes this past year, where Professor changed the player into a mild-mannered professor with 1 hit point and character stats to match, who turns back and forth into a beast that attracts combats. 11 Things I Hate About You added buffs to equipment and consumables that contain the letter I, and debuffs to equipment and consumables that contain the letter U. Avant-Garde required you to use a new burly bodyguard familiar while adventuring, and added a random monster encounter before every single combat. These encounters were bodyguards for the more typical monsters. The bodyguard familiar is yours to keep and use in future ascensions. PvP seasonal rewards this past year were Holiday Howl's Happy Time Fun Book to summon holiday fun to prank your friends, Black Bart's Booty to add pirate flair to a chat message, a guide to Safari to substitute animal noises for normal words and chat messages for yourself or others, Universal Seasoning for adding an effect or PvP fight to your next food, Realm of Optimality to add flair to your player profile, Glitch Season reward name for a free fight each day, and the antagonistic Snowman Kit to summon an aggressive carrot to prank your friends. Hope this gets you caught up on the kingdom and ready for Crimbo festivities.